To access the turn signal on the driver's side where this little storage compartment is, simply open, pull up, then push the bottom down, and there's 2 notches in there and it should come out. Turn signal module is this all the way to the left, and what we'll be looking for is the wires on the bottom. I've lifted the module and rotated it, and what we're looking for on the bottom here is this green wire with the black trace. There's a blank spot, and then this next wire over is a green wire with a yellow trace, which is the right turn signal. So I've taken the turn signal module and pulled it down back behind the dash. It's actually pretty easy to do. It doesn't seem to be attached to anything. It gives you about an extra inch or two to work on the harness. And what I've done here is spliced in the left and then the right turn signal wires, which will go out to the mirrors or other accessories. So I've terminated my ends. This is for the ground lighting. This is for the panel lighting, and I've added an extra ground wire there so I could branch off the turn signal wiring and run it up to the corner here so I can make a junction here so I don't have to remove the door skin if I decide to change something with the turn signal lighting. To take the mirror off, we're going to disconnect the connection here in the door, and then if equipped with a tweeter, there's 2 10mm nuts, so thread those off. Tweeter assembly comes off, and then there's a third 10mm nut, and then the mirror assembly is ready to pop loose. You'll have to carefully work at the mirror because likely the rubber along the edge is kind of bonded to the door, so you just kind of have to start working it, and then eventually it'll start coming apart. If the rubber gasket sticks to the door, you'll have to kind of push it back in along the mirror, and then the whole assembly will come loose, and then the wire will come through the hole. On this car, unfortunately, apparently enough rust, salt and stuff accumulated that it started rusting, so we'll have to fix this spot before we put the mirror back on. Once you cut the tie wrap, the weather boot will pull away, revealing 3 holes containing T15 torque screws. In my case, the bottom 2 had severe rust, and this one I can't get out. Despite drilling the head of the bolt off, the shank was rusted fast to the housing, so I had to take a dental pick to remove the rust to allow it to become free. Once I do that, you can take the inner mirror, push it free of the housing. Rather than feed the wire all the way through, I left it in to make reassembly a little easier. But you can see the back of the mirror assembly and then the tilt pan motors on the back. And the purpose of what we're going to do now is add the internal flasher, and I'm simply going to put it on the inside of the mirror housing. Cleaning the inside of the mirror housing, I'm going to take this amber LED strip and affix it to the inside and then run the wires out with the mirror controls. I'm going to use some regular 2-sided tape because I don't think the stuff that came with the strip will be strong enough to survive all the weather. I've mocked the mirror up. I had to start the LED strip a little differently because the inside of the mirror tends to hit the strip, so I ended up going a little further to the outside of the driver's edge. I'm not sure if I'll like it or not because it might be too bright from sitting in the driver's seat. If I did it again, I think I'd put a giant bulb behind the mirror and just let it flood the housing. Before you put the mirror in, make sure that your wires are pulled correctly, and then take a cable tie and cinch the weather boot here. Also want to make sure that you push around the edge here and make sure that the rubber and then the foam is in position. And now the turn signal modification looking from the rear of the vehicle. And the view from inside the vehicle at the driver's headrest.